Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Hopefully you're doing well and you're ready for our wildcard episode here ahead of game week 6 after the absolute shambolic game week we had in game week 5. There's a lot of people that have been floating wildcards to me in the Discord, so I thought let's get a draft out there, and we're going to start off with Flecken in goal. The one thing I need you guys to consider is that this team has pretty much bang on the money if you've had no price rises. So if you were to wildcard, you should be able to at least have between 0.8 and say 1.2 million, depending on price rises that you've had. So as I've said, we've got Flecken in goal, and this could easily be Leno. I think that'd be the only two options that I would consider, to bring in at the moment. Just we haven't seen any other goalkeepers really stand out, and we've seen clean sheets be really, really hard to get. And Flecken has a few half-decent fixtures coming up, and I would also pair him with Areola in net as well on the bench. So you can at least play fixtures if they do rotate well. But yeah, the other goalkeeper I'd probably consider is Leno, but personally I will be taking Flecken. So we'll move on to the defense, where I've got Estupinan, and then we've got Botman and Cash that would play this week for us. And then we've got Zuma, and then bear with me, we've got Burke in there as well for the double game week next week. So this defense does give you a lot of coverage over the next sort of 7 to 8 game weeks. They interchange quite well, and once that game week comes past with Luton, the double game week, you might be able to move Burke on with a transfer when you've got 2 free transfers and nothing to do. But, you've got plenty of coverage there. We know the Newcastle fixtures are fantastic. Aston Villa's are going to be fantastic from game week 8, and Brighton's from game week 9 are fantastic. So this defensive 3 in a few game weeks' time would be absolutely locked in all the way up to at least game week 19. We know that the fixtures turn really good for those sides. So I'd be prioritising those teams there. Also with Zuma, he becomes that 4th defender option for you. We also know that past game week 9 that the fixtures turn in a fantastic way for West Ham. So that's a defense locked in. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. What other defenders? I know I haven't gone double Newcastle. That could be an option. If you really wanted to target these game weeks right here, right now, you could get rid of Zuma and go after Dan Burn, because you could at least have the double Newcastle and try and bank some of those clean sheets. So that would be the one change that I would look at. Then we're going to go with a midfield 5. So we're going to start off. I still have Mohamed Salah in the team here. He's someone that I've owned all the way through. He's someone that you definitely should own in your teams if you can make it happen. And if you're going to wildcard, no better time to make that happen. He's returned every game so far. He's more of a creative threat this year, and I've said it on a few different videos and on the podcast that he's turning into a De Bruyne type player, where he's becoming more of a creative threat than a goal threat, but the returns are still there. He's involved. When Núñez comes on, he looks fantastic, and I wouldn't want to go without Mohamed Salah on this run of fixtures ahead for Liverpool. Then we've got James Maddison. I think he's just going to be someone that you want in your team long term, and in game week 8 when they play Luton, the fixtures turn positive for James Maddison. So I think you just wear the Arsenal and Liverpool fixtures here for him at the moment. But his data is absolutely fantastic. I think you're going to want to own one of Maddison and Son. In order to make the funds work for this team, we've gone with Maddison. Then our third midfielder, I've gone with Brian Mbeumo. Again, he is just a very, very locked in player for Brentford. He plays up front in the hard games, and he plays out on the wing in the games that they dominate. He plays 90 minutes, he's on penalties, and he's got fantastic non-penalty XG as well, which is exactly what we want from him. Then our fourth midfielder, we've gone with Moussa Diaby. I think people are starting to recognise that he's really that second piece in the Aston Villa attack. Again, they get some fantastic fixtures, and you can double up on Villa there with Matty Cash in the defence. So I would be targeting Diaby. He's playing off of Watkins there as a second striker, and he's going to get some big returns. Again, he's another 90-minute man, just like Mbeumo. At the weekend, got a 93rd minute assist to reward his owners. So definitely someone that I would be looking at. Very good data as well on Fantasy Football Hub. But Moussa Diaby is someone that you would definitely want in your teams if you're going for your wild card this week. And the last midfielder for me is going to be a controversial one. He's been in all my videos so far this week. It's Marcus Rashford. Taking a bit of a punt here, because you could easily find any other midfielder there. You could go for any of the Man City midfielders like Phil Foden. If you wanted to take a punt on Doku, you could go on Doku if you've liked what you've seen. I've gone without Son for kind of hypocritical reasons here, but I just think if Rashford's going to play in this striker role with Højlund and Bruno in behind, I think we're going to see lots of attacking potential from Marcus Rashford. We saw him have 9 shots at the weekend, but only 2 of those ended up on target. So I would be going after Marcus Rashford. I think he's just too good of a player not to start converting his chances, and I'm very, very excited to see what he can do moving forward. So we'll go on to our remaining players, which are our forwards here. The first one, I don't have to talk too much about him, is Erling Haaland. He's just absolutely smashing it this year. I just don't think you can go without Erling Haaland. But the striker I'm going to put next to him is Julian Alvarez. He is someone, again, who I'm talking a lot about this week. We had big discussions about Julian Alvarez on the podcast over at the FPL Show. If you haven't listened to that, make sure you do on all platforms. But Julian Alvarez, although he's massively overperforming his data, he's only got 1.24 expected assists, and he's brought in 5 assists already this season. But he has stepped into the creative hole left by Kevin De Bruyne, and he's out for a very, very long time. His minutes, he's only not played 90 minutes in one game, and in that game he got taken off in the 89th minute when they were winning 5-1. So I think that was a bit of rest and rotation there from Pep and the Man City coaching staff. He just looks locked in. I've spoken a lot on a lot of different platforms around being concerned with Man City attacking assets, but Alvarez is showing that he has the minutes locked in, and with the fixtures I've got, especially starting with Nottingham Forest at home, I want a second piece of the Man City attack so I can start benefiting from those major hauls that they get and getting a bit more out of Haaland. So that's my starting 11 on screen. The last player in the squad is Cameron Archer. Again, that's me being mindful of the money you might not have left over. If you do have significant funds left over, you could almost look at Morris in this position, or a 5.5 striker just sort of altogether, because what we've seen is Odsonne Edouard be someone who can return for us as well. He got another goal at the weekend, and he's the main man for Crystal Palace. So if you don't like that and you want to take a punt on João Pedro, thinking that he could be fit, then you could go down that route and look at the 5.5 million strikers in that option. So that's sort of where we're at the moment, and that's what my team is looking like. So if that is very, very solid team that we're looking at, and I would be very, very shocked if it didn't do well. So if you like this video, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys very shortly for another FPL video ahead of the Game Week 6 deadline.